What's up, guys? Welcome to another video. This is going to be the UI video. So how to set up a UI that looks similar to the one I use in game, and what are kind of the staples of my UI. Well, let's go through it first off, and then we'll do a fresh install on this guy so you can see everything's all over the place, and we're going to get this rolling and rocking for you. But the main ones you need to understand is I use LVUI, which is not available on Curse. You actually have to go, and if you Google it, you'll find the website that it goes to. It's just tuckui.org. So go ahead and head over there, and you will be able to pick that out. Tell me when. That's what this is right here. And I will go into that in great detail because that is a very, very good add-on for any raider to use. There's just so much that you can do with it. It's almost essential. Bigwigs I use for boss mods. Scada I use for my damage and my healing meters. So let's go into a fresh LVUI. Okay, as soon as you install LVUI, this is the screen that's going to pop up on your screen, right? So let's go through it. We want to set up our CVARs, set up our chats, enable perfect pixel. I use class color for this guy, high resolution, what we're going to be. So tank, healer, physical, or caster. For this one, we'll just pick physical, integrate, continue, finish. Okay, and then it'll reload that, and again, make sure that you have your appropriate add-on set up. You know, like for this guy, I don't obviously need like ignite timers or voodoo to heal or anything like that. Okay, so first things first. As you can see, everything is absolutely everywhere. So let's go through LVUI first. And this is the menu where you get your LVUI from, or where you'll be able to mess with that. You can have it automatically vendor grays. You can turn on a top panel if you want. I don't ever use that. You can auto loot, auto scale, whatever you want to do. The biggest thing though is your anchors. Okay, this is where you're going to be able to move all your stuff. Just make sure you're on all. Now loss control, I like to move that up here. Stance bar obviously will come down here. We're going to move our player frame and our target frame out of here first, because that's just what we do. Loot frame I like to throw above me. These are all your party frames, okay? So we're going to start them up here because I like having my party stuff up here. I don't like having anything down here. And then our bars are the other most important thing. But again, with our bars, we're not going to be able to do much until we really get in here and fix a couple things. So let's do that first. So action bars. You can have macro text show up if you are using a lot of macros and you want to see the actual text on the macro. See, like that, one shot, clicker, whatever. Bar 1, I always like to put the backdrop in there, and I like to make the buttons, I think it's size 25. Yep, that's about right. Now I like to some people don't use their buttons, they don't have them out at all. Which is fine, because once you understand, guys, that I use a Razer Naga mouse, and I also have the Anasi keyboard. So I have everything pretty much keybound. You won't see anything on mine that really needs a whole lot of attention that way. And as I'm going through this again, you can choose the amount of buttons, buttons per row, button size, button spacing, all that good stuff, right? And you can make certain bars bigger or smaller depending on what you're going for. And then I turn off everything else. I just want my 3 bars here. We'll leave the pet bar because sometimes that comes into that. Cooldown text, obviously we want that because it works the same way as quartz. Okay, so it's got everything right there. So if we go back to our anchors, we'll throw this down here. Now, and I'm going to warn you guys now, you can use a lot bigger bars if you want. Like I said, once you get used to your key bindings and where everything is, these are pretty much just for a reference point. Like, I don't use these for anything but just to have them because I like the safety of having them just in case something messes up. And if I have to click a spell or I have to come down here and do something out of the ordinary and I don't remember exactly where it is, at least I have a reference to look at and glance at occasionally during a boss fight. Let's do this. See. The other thing that you want to do, okay, is your chat windows. Now, I like mine to be right next to my healing and my damage meters, as you can see right there. And it actually looks like I need to unlock this window for a moment. It's my healing window. This needs to come down a little bit. And I'm not going to lock it quite yet because I want to make sure they're about... Yeah, see, I got to make this one a little bit bigger. Actually, I don't need to make it that much bigger. I'm very OCD when it comes to my UI, obviously. That's why you'll see, you know, all this stuff takes me a little bit to set up is because I like it to be exactly where it needs to be. Now, the reason I use SCADA over Recount, and I've had a lot of people ask me that question as well, is does it... Oop, camera's going crazy. Hang on one second. I don't know why that started. Alright, well, that's going to be awesome. There, that'll work. Okay, so the reason that I use SCADA instead of Recount is because SCADA allows me to have two windows open at the same time. And for raiding, I like to be able to see kind of everything going on. This way I don't have to scroll through different things, but it allows me to have two windows. So let's say that there's a certain ability, right? Or I want to see, you know, how much damage is being taken throughout the raid. I can click that. It'll take me right to where I need to be. If I want to look at interrupts, if I want to look at dispels, if I want to look at, you know, buff up times, anything that I want, I can go through here and check. Now, I like to leave mine on healing because, as you all know, I used to play my Resto Druid pretty hard. And so I like to keep an eye on that, see who's doing what, and yada, yada, yada. Again, I'll put my stance bar down there. Boss button. Again, I like to put that up by the loss of control. Mainly because that way I know where it is and I know when I have one that I need to worry about. So, player frame, target frame. Now this is where it gets tricky. I like to set mine up on the XY axis. So let's do that right now. So let's throw player frame. Let's do negative 240. And let's do 235. So now I can go up here. Negative 240. Oops. And 235. Oop. And that is not what we wanted. Why did that not work? Negative 235. And let's do... Yeah, I don't know what this is doing. Oh, because there's no negative. Oh, yeah, okay, so negative 240, 235, so I want 240, 235. Oops. Alright, now they're pretty much lined up. Now, the other thing that you might want to do is change your target cast bar. Okay? I like to do this, especially as a caster. I think it's very, very important. But a lot of people will make their target cast bar, like if you see UIs like SCO or Blatty or any of the more of the top guys, they will actually take their target, and this is where you go for that unit frames. Target, and I'm going to show you this because this is annoying. See how it says well fed and it has all your buffs that scroll here? A lot of people don't use that, and if you're using tell me when, that's why you have tell me when, so you don't need to do it. Well, what's that called? That's called aura bars. If I go and turn that off, bam, done. Okay, the other thing that people see is my portrait. You go down to portrait, enable. Now you can overlay your portrait behind your character. You can leave it next to there, and then you can change the style and everything else. Model rotation, you can, I guess, do whatever you want that way. But for the purposes of this video, we'll just set it up like normal. Turn off aura bars. And portrait, enable. Okay, so now there's my target. The other thing that I like to keep track of, guys, is target of target. Okay, and I like to keep that right next to my my target frame. The reason that I do that, and I like to put my boss frames over in the absolute corner, same with my arena frames. But the reason I like to take care of target over here is because that way I know who the boss is attacking, right? I know that if it's pretty much like having Omen without actually having to have it. Because if your name's not there, we don't care, right? If you're a DPS or a healer, as long as your name's not the name next to the guy, we really don't care. But as you can see, guys, just with a few little tweaks, okay, you got LVUI all set up for you. You have your unit frame, you have your damage meter, you have your chat windows, you have your bars, you have everything set up for you. Okay, so now the only other thing for LVUI is we'll go through just a couple of the other options. Okay, I like to turn, where is it? I like to turn the assist frames off, and I also like to turn the tank frames off. And then, like I said, with these, you can really go through, like, you can display the frames. So for a 40-man raid, that's what it's going to look like. Okay, well, if you don't need it that big, you know, for a 40-man raid, so you're pretty much, if you're fighting something you don't care about, because it's Undasta, so we don't really care what that looks like, right? So you can display those, turn those on and off. So for 25-man, I don't obviously want it that big, so I can adjust the size, and I can adjust the height. Now again, you'll want to do whatever's comfortable for you. You can turn on heal prediction, so it will like show if they're going to get healed or not, and that's, you know, that's again up to you. This is about where I like to keep mine, obviously, and then make sure you turn that back off. Raid 10 display. Again, I don't need to know that much information. Like, it doesn't need to be across my screen. You understand what I'm saying? Okay, so we'll turn those off. Anything else that we really need to go through? Unit frames in general. Again, you can change, you know, the way that everything looks. Again, that's all up to you, though, guys. You can change the font size, anything you want, you can realistically change. Now, for a warrior, I can already tell you that rage is obviously extremely important, correct? Knowing how much rage we have, whatever. So if we want to take our power bar, see how big we can make it? I mean, we can really go with it here. And you can change just about anything with it. So for me, I'm going to leave it about 50-50. But I will probably, you know, be able to use Tell Me When to hang on to some of that stuff too. Because when you're at a certain rage amount, you might want to use this ability. And we're going to go through that all with you. The thing I did want to show you is Cast Bar. So watch this. So now, if I've got my target cast bar, I can, again, where is it? Show and hide. Okay. So I pick him. Target frame, cast bar, show hide. Okay, so it's right here. So if I want to make it huge, so I know when my guy's casting. And this works for PvP, this works for PvE, anything that you want. If there's something that you really want to keep track of, I mean, you can make this thing just absolutely huge. You can make it tiny. It doesn't really matter. It's really up to you. Okay, whatever, however, you know, you like to watch your boss timers or cast bars or whatever. Show how to turn that off. But that's how you do that. So you'll see a lot of guys, like, they'll put the boss cast bar like right here. Now the reason they do that is because most of them are killing world first bosses, and they don't have like DBM and Bigwigs and everything figured out because they're watching for certain abilities. So they know that if they have cast bars for those things, they're okay. So let's go back through real quick. Buffs, debuffs, another one. Oop. And you can turn this on or off if you want. I recommend leaving it on. But again, I don't really care how big they are. So I'm going to move that there. I'm going to accept this. It'll reload your UI. For some reason, it does that when you're messing with buffs and debuffs. For most everything else you can change. You don't need to reload to check it to make sure it's the right size that you want. But see how much smaller it made it? The only other thing we're going to want to do is move these. So we want them up here. Okay? So now we're all set. We got our buffs up here because we really don't look up here, right, guys? Our goal when we're setting up our UI for rating is we want to keep stuff, you know, roughly right here. Okay? So now we've got our SCADA set up. We've showed you how to do that. We've done our LVUI now, so everything's kind of in the places that we're going to want. So now the next one is Bigwigs, and let's go over that real quick because Bigwigs is another one of those you really want to right-click to access options. Okay. Configure. So now, okay, so now I can put anything where I want it. Now this is set up from my other guy, so I don't really want to mess with this a whole lot. Okay, but you can change where your ability is that you need to be spread out for, your emphasize bars, your messages, any emphasize countdowns bars, anything you want. I have mine all kind of right around me, especially the big ones I have pretty much right on top of my head, so it pretty much says, hey dummy, there's something coming in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Move, or, you know, do your job. You know what I mean? Like, that's what I use this for. The other really nice thing about Bigwigs is it gives you more information, not necessarily as loud and in-your-face information, but it does give you more information. Like the Garelon fight, for heroic version of Garelon. The biggest thing you need to know is when you were coming up and what the guy's stacks were at so you could keep track. This always is telling you how, like every 2 stacks, once they get past like 6, how many stacks the person who currently has pheromones had. Okay, this is the kind of stuff that Bigwigs will tell you that DBM won't. That's why I really do recommend Bigwigs. It's just a really good add-on. Again, it's completely customizable. If I do a quick test, you can see all this stuff going on here, and my cat's being annoying. But that's pretty much Bigwigs. Okay, so you set that up how you want. Now, again, tell me when time, right? So I'm in my Kata gear here, as you can see, my Kata PvE gear. Obviously, I'm playing Fury. But let's say, okay, so let's attack this target dummy. What do we want to keep? Oop, yeah, and that was just the thing going off saying blah, 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 blah. So we want to look up here for our buffs. So this is our, see, our crit that stacks up to 5 times on our trinket. So what's that buff called? And you might want to get a pen and piece of paper and write down these IDs. So 96, 980 is a big one, okay? And, our weapon enchants, okay? So let's take a look at these. So how do you set up a tell me when? Let's go through it. /TMW. Here's your bars. Enabled. It's a buff or a debuff. It's on a player. Only check mine, because we don't care about anyone else's. Show timer text, show all that stuff. Okay, that's what we want to do. Now, what was that one called? It was 96981? Yeah. Or no, 98 accelerated. Yep. Okay. So, now, let's see if I remember how to do this here. Oh, well, it might help if I wasn't attacking one that was way higher than me. Let's try this one. And remember, guys, I'm not saying that I'm anything close to a warrior. But see how we got our stacks now? Oh, we got 2 stacks of it up. And this, 3 stacks are up. 4 stacks are up. 5 stacks are up. So now, if I had my cooldown, like say recklessness, bam, I want to pop it now because I've got my trinkets ready to go. You know what? I want to blow up some faces. I want to do all this stuff. Bam, 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 bam. I honestly don't ask me if I'm doing it right. I don't remember at all. Okay, but also if you're looking down here, guys, you have all these cooldowns, okay, that you want to be able to hit pretty much when they're up. So how do you track that, right? How do I know? Because I don't want to miss a Colossus Smash. Because what does it do? It bypasses their armor, right? Like keeping Colossus Smash on cooldown, I'm assuming, is probably still important. So how do we track that? Okay, how do we track Colossus Smash? It's really easy. TMW. So enabled spell cooldown. Yes. Okay. So, what we want to do We always want to get that stuff, but what we want to do is Colossus Smash. And conditions. Okay, add a condition. Spell cooldown. Colossus Smash. And we want it to be when it's greater than or equal to let's do 1.5 seconds. Okay, and always type that in first. I forgot. But now, when this comes up or when this is off cooldown, watch this. So now we'll press our TMW again. We'll get in on this guy. Now it's up. Bam. It's gone, right? So you don't see it anymore. We're still tracking our trinkets. We're still doing all this cool stuff. Yada, yada, yada. And now, guys, I don't need to look down here. I can always keep my eyes on my screen, right? Oh, we got some cool procs that I don't know what do. Wild Strike, I'm assuming that's what that is. Yeah. All right. Oh, but look. Now I know it's coming up. Bam. See how that popped up on your screen? So you're focusing now, guys. You're focusing on your character screen. You're not focusing on anything but that. Okay, that is all you are worried about is that screen. Man, they really helped rage regen now on these guys. Oh, it's back up. Bam, and then we're bloodthirsting, and then we're doing this. We're getting our free heroic strikes out of there. We're really bursting with this when we have this Colossus Smash out, right? Because we know how long it lasts. Because we're a warrior and we're not dumb. And we're just burning everything out that we can, trying to keep our rage where we want it. Yada, yada, yada. Okay? So that's how you keep track of that. So you've got your trinkets, you've got your spells. And now the other thing, guys, too, is what you might want to take a look at, okay, is on your interface, when you go down to your add-ons, you go down to Tell Me When, groups. Now you can add another group. Icons or bars. I recommend icons. You can use bars like I have on my Shadow Priest. I have it do my timer cooldowns for me via bars. But again, you can do it the same way. So if I have a second group, okay, oops, /TMW. So now I have another group of add-ons. So, like, let's say I wanted to keep track of, like, all my biggest cooldowns, like my Recklessness, Berserker Rage, you know, anything like that. Whenever they're up, I want to know. Dragon's Roar, whenever they're up. And let's just say, like, I don't want to, you know what I mean? I don't need them down here. Like, this is for, like, my abilities. Well, I can use this for my cooldowns. I can have another group over here that has when my trinkets pop up. You know what I mean? Like when my trinkets are both procced. When my potions are procced. When I have heroism. When I have Stormlash. Anything that you have, guys, this is where you can set it up this way. And it's all using the same exact way to do it. It's just a matter of you getting comfortable. Okay? And the biggest thing I can tell you, though, is make sure you have all your keybinds set. So that, and then practice on a training dummy until you don't need to look down there to figure out which spells are which. You need to know that if I press, you know, if you're a keybinder, if I press Shift 1, Shift 2, Shift 3, or 1, 2, 3, or whatever it is, exactly which spell is going to hit. And you need to have that be muscle memory for your main. Same thing with me. Like for my Naga, I don't know if you guys can see this, but I have all these buttons coincide with my bars right down there, okay? Like if you'll see, it starts right there, 1, 2, 3, and it goes all the way down, and then shift, and then I have like my mouse wheels, my alts, my mouse buttons, and everything else. For, you know, cooldowns, mounting, etc. Like I know my shift button 4 is always mount up. Okay, it always is. I know that. My interrupts are always my middle mouse button because I know that that's what I use to interrupt. So once you get used to your key bindings, guys, you can transfer those key bindings onto other tunes, and that's going to make your life easier as well. But the biggest thing that you need to understand when setting up your UI is if you go through, you know, you read your strats on, you know, the forum, on MMO forums, on Icy Veins, on whatever it is that you use, you watch a Preach video, whatever it is that you use to figure out your cooldowns and everything else, go through and get used to it, and then say, okay, what do I need to keep track of? What do I constantly find myself looking back down on my bars for? Because a lot of times it's going to be cooldowns. It's going to be spells like Colossus Smash. Spells like, if, let's say, when you have more than 80 rage, you want to heroic strike it off, okay? So what you can do is, again, you can have an ability and you set it up that when rage is greater than or equal to 80, pop up an icon that shows me heroic strike. And that you do it the exact same way that I just did with this one, okay? So we're going to do spell cooldown. Heroic strike, press enter. Add a condition. And this is where, alright, so how would we do that? Let's try that. Let's do this one for you guys. Unit attributes. Nope. Reactive ability? Spell reactivity, maybe? Oh, no, that's not what we want. So what would it be? Let's try to find this real quick for you, just so you guys can see exactly how you have to go through and kind of figure this out, right? I would say it's probably in here somewhere. Right. All right. Percent primary resource. Yeah, that would probably be it. So what we want to do is when percent rage. Here we go. Okay, on player. So when it's greater than or equal to 80%. Okay. So I don't know if we have this set up yet quite right. Let's try it out. There. Well, let's see what happens if I... Yeah, I don't think I have that set up right. All we're doing is we're trying to build up some rage here. So I want to hit 80 and see what... Oops, don't spend it, dummy. There, so okay, so now we're at 80 rage. Okay, so that didn't work. And this is how you guys have to go through and set them up, okay? But now the button went away. So what happens if I go below 80? Okay, yeah, see, as soon as I go below 80%, then the button shows back up. So I just have it done wrong. Okay? So let's flip that around then. As soon as it gets me out of combat here. There. Okay, so we'll go back to conditions, percent rage. There we go. So now I jump in, I'm smashing out these rage builders. Boom, give me 80% rage. And you can do this by, yep, and then bam, it's up. So now I know how to cast it. And now I don't have to look down, right? Because now I know that when I get to a certain point of rage, oh, there it is, I want to get it off. See, and that's how easy it is, guys. Oh, Colossus smashes up. Oh, Heroic Strike. Okay, boom. Oh, Heroic Strike. Oh, boom. You know what I mean? Like, this is all you're doing. And then you're just getting used to your rotation. But what you're doing is you're making it so that it helps you figure out what spells you need to keep track of. You know, if there's something you're really bad at keeping track of, go ahead. So now, you know, because a lot of you guys ask about my mage and everything. So I'm going to log onto my mage and just show you exactly how I have everything set up on my mage. But it's using the same exact system here, okay? It's a really cool system, guys, once you get it figured out. And I know this video is running a little long, but add-ons are extremely, extremely important. And you asked me to do an add-on video, so now I'm not going to answer any more questions on add-ons ever. Okay, so I'll go into my mage here. And keep in mind also, when you're setting up add-ons, it's got to be comfortable for you. You have to be understanding how it works. Now, the biggest thing that I want to explain to you is understanding that you always want to keep your feet and your character are where you want to be looking at all times, okay? You don't want to be looking other places. There's no reason for you to be looking other places. It's not going to help you to look other places, okay? So for me, I have my big ignite timer, which tracks my ignites. I have my cast bar next to me as well, so that I know how much time I have in cast and everything else. I can check all that. I have my evocation timer down here. So now let's hard cast a pyro. And as soon as I'm in combat, these are the two things that I have tracking. Is my Inferno Blast up? Why do I care? Because if this button's not up, if I press it now, I get my Pyro Blast free, right? But if I'm sitting here and I have it, but I don't have this, I'm spamming this, well, now I'm wasting time in a global cooldown waiting for this button to come back up. Okay, there it is. Oh, man, I'm getting lucky today. See? I mean, just, wow, that's a lot of crits. And then I hit it again. Bam, I got another one. See what I'm saying, guys? Like, this is what you want to try to keep track of. Is, I know that, see, it's not up yet, so I'm not pressing it. Now I can press it if it's up. That's the biggest thing with Inferno Blast, guys, is it's such a reactive spell that if it's not up, don't bother using it. Like right now, I know as soon as this cast of Fireball's done, bam, I'm spamming that Inferno Blast, I get another Pyro Blast. And then I also have Mirror Images up. Because Mirror Images, while it's not a monster DPS cooldown by any means, it is still a DPS boost. And it really doesn't matter when you pop it. Mirror Images is one of those things that you really just want to keep cycled on cooldown. If you've seen any of good mage videos, their opener normally starts like this. You evocate, you pop your potion, you pop your mirror images, and then you hard cast, or you pop your mirror images, then your potion, then you hard cast your pyro, get your dot up. Oh, trinket procced. So I know I have one trinket, so I'm just going to go ahead and palm. Get all my free pyro blasts. Ooh, I got 4 that time. I'm going to refresh my dot, and now I'm back. I'm hitting it. I got my 2-piece showing. Bam. And then I can pop my combustion when I feel like my combustion number is where I want it to be. Okay? And this is the kind of stuff that I have it tracking. Is where is... Okay, so now my Inferno Blast is up. So the next time I get a crit, I always want to keep my dot up. And you can have big icons too, guys. And that's another thing that some people do that is a really cool idea. Okay? Is what they'll do is, let's say, like when your dot falls off. Well, how do we set that up? Well, let me show you just real quick. So if I wanted to be just a complete tool bag and kind of go a little bit over the top, I could add another group. Bar. Oop, no. Do not enable group. Okay, so what I want to do is just take this. Is there a way to get rid of it? Okay, well, whatever. Let's add another group. Icon. Okay. We're doing our /TMW. So here's my third group. So if I want to know, like seriously this big, if my dot falls off, or I don't have a dot on the current target, right? Watch this. It would be... All I want to do... Let's put another Tempest. Oh, I don't want spell cooldown, sorry. I want to put... buff duration. On target. Okay, so if it equals 0, so let's see if this works. Get into combat. Nope, that's not how you do it. But you can literally set it up, guys, so that you can have, like, it'll just blow up in the middle of your screen when you don't have it up. And do you need to go that far? Probably not. But keep in mind that if it helps you at first until you really get used to it and how the timers work and how the synergy of your class works and everything else, it's not going to hurt you to do that. It might be annoying, but again, the only thing that that's really doing is teaching you that I don't want to see this, so how do I make that happen? Okay, well, I need to make sure that I always have my dot up. And that's another way you can do it, is you can always have it just come up when you only need 1.5 seconds left on it. You can do it that way too. Now, I like to keep track of mine because, again, with Nether Tempest, refreshing it early is not a monster loss. Like if I refresh it between now or 3 seconds, it's not a huge deal depending on how my procs line up, how everything lines up for me. But anyway, guys, hope you liked the video. Wanted to explain to you how to set up my UI, why I set my UI up the way that I do, and kind of how each of the add-ons works. And you're just really going to have to go through and play with them. If you want to see more in-depth guides to these add-ons, go ahead and take a look. You can find them all on YouTube. There's hugely in-depth add-on guides for every single one of these. Just Google search them or YouTube search them, and you'll be able to find them. Hope you guys like this one, though, and as always, we'll see you in the next one.